एवरीथिंग कि मेरे को सब करना है.
No, see, whatever time you get, you have to revise everything, right? And
Hmm.
whatever interests you, that you already remember. So for
Yeah.
remembering, there is no other shortcut. You have to keep on repeating. And someone may read once and remember, someone have to read 10 times and remember. So it's just a matter of practice.
Right. Right.
Okay, so let's start. अरिहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाय स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर चोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। मंगलमय मंगल करण वीतराग विज्ञान नमोता ही जाते भये अरिहंदादि महान। करी मंगल करी हो महा ग्रंथ करण को काज जाते मिले समाज सब पावे निज पद राज। So today we are going to start 8th chapter of Moksha Marg Prakashak. In every chapter there is a separate Mangalacharan, but in the 8th chapter there is no Mangalacharan. Why? Because this is not about anything, this is about the methodology of explaining the scriptures. Okay? So what is the nature of sermons? What is the methodology? How does each exposition presents its subject? Okay, so that is the topic in chapter number 8. You will find never a detail of these 4 expositions anywhere in the Jain scriptures except this Moksha Marg Prakashak. I have not found so far. There have been scriptures written by acharyas, but none of them have tried to put it 4 exposition at one place. And Todarmalji did that. So that's why he is being referred as Acharya Kalp. You know, Kalp. So he was not Acharya, he was a ordinary householder, but with his intellect and the scholarship that he developed, he was termed as Acharya Kalp because his thoughts were like Acharya, his thinking were like Acharya, his understanding was like Acharya, and you could see throughout the Moksha Marg Prakashak that the questions that he raised, so interesting questions, whatever analysis he has done, that is also very of high quality nature, you know. So all this makes him a great personality, and that's why he's referred as Acharya Kalp. We are so grateful and we are so lucky that we have got access to these scriptures, although it is incomplete, but whatever has been written, from that we can pick up and see that we apply it in whatever we study, and that makes our study very interesting and fruitful. Main thing is that we are able to see things in the right perspective. That's a very, very important thing. Okay, so we will begin the chapter number 8. I made you a co-host, Himali. You can share the screen, the scripture. Uh,
Yes, sir.
the name of the 4 exposition, Prathman Yog, is called Exposition on Stories and Biographies. Okay, Exposition on Stories and Biography. Then Karnan Yog, Exposition on Technical Matters. Then Charnan Yog, exposition on conducts and ethics. and Dravyan Yoga, exposition on substances or metaphysics. Okay, so these are the four branches of the scriptures. The original source of all these scriptures is the divine sound of the Tirthankar, Divya Dhvani, right? And in that Divya Dhvani, all these sermons have come from. And through those sermons, uh, the first one to capture those meanings was the Gandhar. Okay, and from Gandhar, different acharyas, and from acharyas to acharyas, and in that lineage, this has come to us in the form of the scripture. Okay, so the original source is nothing but the Tirthankar. Okay, so what we are reading now is instructed by the Tirthankar only. So fortunate to have all this, and we will begin the reading. Amita ji, we start with you. You read.
Jai Janani.
Yeah, you have the script right with you.
I have the Hindi one.
Acha, Hindi one. So Himali, are you sharing?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Just 1 second.
Roshni, you have the book with you?
Hmm.
Yes, sir. I have the book. It's just opening. Do you want me to share?
Yeah, not to share, but to read.
Okay.
You read page number 381.
Okay, sir, it's just opening. Give me 1 minute.
Okay.
381, right? Okay.
Yeah, this one.
Let me go to 381.
Yes. Okay, so we'll catch up with you next. Amita ji, you go on reading.
Nature of sermons.
Hmm.
Showing the right path of liberation to the misbelievers, mundane beings, is the greatest benefaction of them. Even the Tirthankars, omniscients, Gandharas, chief monks, etc., render such type of benefaction only. Therefore, in this Shastra, Mokshmar Prakashak, also the discourses are given according to their sermons. For clarifying the nature of sermon, some explanation is given here. Because if one does not identify or know the sermon properly in its true sense, then we may follow the wrong path by believing otherwise. Therefore, the nature of sermon is being described. In Jina's faith, the sermon is given through four kinds of anuyogas, branches of scriptures. Pratmanuyog, mythology, Karananuyog, theology, and cosmology, Charananuyog, ethics or religious rituals, and Dravanuyog, metaphysics. These are the four anuyogas. That branch of scriptures in which the life sketches, biographies of great personages like Tirthankars, Chakravartis, etc. are described is called Pratmanuyog. And that branch of scriptures in which Gunasthanas, spiritual stages, Marganas, quest places, etc., forms of the jivas and karmas and cosmology, etc., are described, is called Karunaniyo. And that branch of scriptures in which the religious conduct, vows and rituals to be followed by householders and monks are described is called Charunaniyo. Whereas that branch of scriptures in which six kinds of substances, seven tattvas, etc., and the science of self, non-self, discrimination, etc. are discussed is called Dravyani Yoga.
Stop.
Thank you,
So,
Hemani.
yeah, the first part, the first line itself, showing the right path of liberation to the misbelievers, mundane beings, is the greatest benefaction of them. So, what gift you want to give to your children, Hemali?
So that they get on the track of right belief.
Yes. So showing the right path of liberation. That is the best thing you can do on this earth, you know. There cannot be anything else. And showing the right path of liberation to others, that means we should know first. Then only we can show to others, right? You lead by example, right? So first thing is that we will understand it, we will absorb it, we will get immersed in it, and then we will share it. Okay, so this is the best or the greatest benefaction that you can do in this life. Okay, so we are already onto this thing, which is the greatest thing in this life. There cannot be anything better than this, because if you give money to somebody, or if you give some wealth to somebody, it's just going to benefit in this life. But if you share this path of liberation, the methodology, then he is going to get liberated, and you are doing something that cannot be more beneficial than this, you know. So this is the best thing that we can do. Even the Tirthankars, what the Tirthankars do, even the Tirthankars, Gandhars, etc., means Acharyas, Upadhyas, Sadhus, scholars, whatever, render such type of benefaction only. So when you are teaching your kids Pathshala, Namokar Mantra, you are doing such a duty as Tirthankars and Gandhars have done. So Jia, you have also to do this. Okay, you might have professionally studied psychology or whatever, but this is the greatest teaching that we can give to anybody, right? And all the say living beings of this universe are all gods. To make them realize that they are God is the greatest benefaction, right? So luckily we are all into something that, you know, there could not be any better thing than this in the life. So you have something in your hand, right? Now you need to have time to pursue that, you need to time to follow up that, you need time to understand that in deeply, right? So that is what we have to do. Therefore, in this Shastra, Moksh Marg Prakashak, the name itself is Moksh Marg, path of liberation, right? Moksh Marg Prakashak. Prakashak means that shows the path of liberation, right? So this one is the same. Also, the discourses are given according to their sermons. Okay, so all the 4 exposition. One time you write down the names of each. Okay, exposition on stories / biographies. This is Pratman Yog. Then Karnan Yog, exposition on technical matters. Then Charnan Yoga, exposition on conducts, ethics. Then Dravyan Yoga, exposition on metaphysics or substances. Okay. So these are the names that has been adapted from a foreign author. We never found these names in English books. Even the book that we have herein, they have mentioned the Hindi names only. Nobody dared to put an English name to this. But a foreign author, I think her name was Christie. She wrote a book, and in that she named all these 4. And that's where we have adapted from for the G platform. Okay. And from there only we have written these names. Okay. So once at the top of the page, you can write these 4 names. So every time you don't have to repeat. Okay. If
So
you
what
come
was Dravyanu Yoga's definition?
exposition on metaphysics or substances.
Substance.
So literal
Dravyanu
meaning would
Yoga.
be Dravyan Yoga. So
Okay.
exposition on substances. But they say this branch to be metaphysics in philosophical world. Okay.
सर कैन आई इंटरप्ट
Yeah.
सर ये जो अगर जीव से पढ़े मतलब जैसे एग्जाम के लिए फर्दर डाउन मतलब आगे तो इज इट मतलब मोर क्लियर रहेगा ऐसा कुछ है
नहीं हमें
जो
समझ नहीं पाया what you are saying.
जो एग्जाम दे रहे हैं ना हम लोग सर
हाँ
तो अभी तो एक
objective
ही बचा है
objective.
तो ऑब्जेक्टिव्स यस सर
हाँ
तो जीव प्लेटफॉर्म से पढ़ने से और भी बेटर रहेगा या अपने
हाँ
किताब को
Jeev platform, though, you can read any day because that is the English material available right now. We don't have anything else right now, right? So apart from the textbook, if you want to refer anything else, Jeev platforms, all the articles have been very meticulously written by Vijay Sheth. So that would be a good source for all of us, for in English. It's
नहीं
going to grow,
अगर
it's growing. It is already 1 year old and now there are many things lined up, So definitely you should refer whatever it comes. You join their WhatsApp group. They keep on updating what new are coming, and that's going to be the most happening thing in the next few years, because as we develop more into English, more and more people are now connecting to English. So we don't have much scriptures. In Parmagam already we have translated around 30 books in English through ChatGPT, of course. But then you have to check it out after ChatGPT's version. So that's going on. But having said that, the articles in G have been independently written for the English. It's not that we have some translated into English, right? It's exclusively written on English, so they are in a better shape than to read an English translation. Okay, so definitely you can connect, and more and more there are audio visuals, and they have used AR, VR, and they made it so easy for even picturization and all. So many new things are coming up, so you can always refer that platform.
सर ये ग्रुप मतलब कैन यू सेंड द व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप माने इफ आई वांट टू जॉइन द लिंक
Yeah, I'll send across, no problem.
ओके थैंक यू
For clarifying the nature of sermon. Why we need to clarify the nature of sermon? Because unless and until we don't know the methodology by which it is being exposed, we will not be able to understand the right meaning. Okay, so if we want to understand the sermons in the true sense, then we may have to understand the methodology. Otherwise we will pick up wrong things. That's all, right? So we have everything here. One thing that we studied is about the point of view, nahi, right? So the whole Jinwani is in Syadwad language. They are written from a certain perspective. So we need to know that certain perspective to understand it clearly and fully. Okay. So the for exposition, the branch of scriptures in which the life sketches, the life story, biographies of great personages like Tirthankar Chakravarti are described. This is a very small introduction of called Pratman Yoga. And that branch of scriptures in which the Gunasthans, Marganasthans, forms of the Jivas. So Jeev could be divided among 14 Gunasthans, among 14 Marganasthans. Then there are different varieties of Jeev's classification. One classification shows 14, then another classification shows 19 different forms of Jeev. Then another classification shows 57 different forms of Jeev. Then another classification shows 98 forms of Jeev. Then another classification shows 402 forms of Jeev. It has been, the figures have come by putting a permutation and combinations of the combinations available. So we could define Jeev in so many ways. Okay. So here that's a subject of Karnan Yoga. Okay. Then what else is in Karnan Yoga? The different forms of karmas. Okay. We have already studied karma theory recently in that happiness course. And there we studied 8 types of karmas, its divisions, subdivisions, and the 10 different modes of karmas. Okay. So all these forms a part of Karnan Yoga. And then the third branch of Karnan Yoga is cosmology, the 3 worlds, upper world, middle world, and lower world, Swarg, Narag, and all these descriptions are there. So all these is a Karnan Yoga. So Karnan Yoga is a very vast subject. Okay. The deeper you go, the more better you feel. Okay. So this is all about Karnan Yoga. Then coming to the Charnan Yoga. Okay. And the branch of scripture in which the religious conduct, vows, and rituals to be followed by householder and monk. We have 2 categories only. Either you become a monk or a householder, right? So these two categories, what should be your conduct, that's explained in Charnan Yoga. Whereas the branch of scriptures in which 6 kinds of substances, 7 fundamental elements, and the signs of discrimination, okay, all these are discussed is Dravyanu Yoga, okay. 99% of the statements made in the first 3 Anuyogs, Pratman Yoga, Charanan Yoga, and Karnan Yoga are all conventional point of view. Majority, 99% are conventional point of view. Only 1% is Dravyan Yoga. Okay. But in Dravyan Yoga, you have 100% Dravyan Yoga only. Okay. So the basic methodology or the basic preachings about how to practice discriminative knowledge is expressed in Dravyan Yoga only. Okay. All 3 Anuyogs, all the 4 Anuyogs, our ultimate objective is to manifest passionlessness. Okay. What is the ultimate objective of all the 4 exposition? Manifest passionlessness, detachment. Okay. So whichever exposition you adopt, depending on the stage at which you are, right? So we all go under through ups and downs in our life. So sometimes Pratman Yoga is helpful to motivate us. Sometimes the karma theory is helpful. Okay. Sometimes the Charnan Yoga is also helpful, and sometimes Dravyan Yoga, of course, is the main subject for signs of discrimination. So all these 4 exposition, different time, different exposition is beneficial. Okay. But the end result of all the 4 exposition is passionlessness. So whichever exposition you explore, you end up getting into passionlessness. And that is the true religion. Not reacting, not manifesting attachment, not manifesting aversion. That is called vitragata, passionlessness, detachment. Okay. And that is the true religion. Now we will see the purpose of all the 4 exposition one by one. So we begin with the purpose of Prathmanu Yoga. Okay. Jia, you read.
The purpose of Pratmanu Yoga. In Pratmanu Yoga, the Jeeves are encouraged to follow the religion by way of describing the peculiarity of mundane existence, the consequence of punyas, virtues, and paps, vice, and the conduct of the great personages, etc. Even the persons have low level of understanding get interested in religion through it because they do not understand the minute details but understand the worldly parables. Their upyog mind gets engaged in them. And in Pratmana Yoga, the description is found in the form of worldly tendencies, only which they understand very well. In worldly stories of kings, etc., fostering of sins is found. Here too, the legends of the high persons like kings, etc., are found, but their purpose is to detach uh, persons from vices and to actuate them to practice religion. Therefore, those persons, due to attraction of legends, read and listen to them, and then knowing the pap, vices, to be harmful and dharma, virtuous conduct to be beneficial, they take interest in religion. In this way, this anuyog is meant for the people of low level of understanding. Pratma means low-witted misbelievers, hence the anuyog, which is meant for them, is Pratmanuyog. Such meaning is given by the commentary of Komatsar. Further, if the jivas have attained the knowledge of tattvas, read or listened to the Pratmanu Yoga, then for them this serves the purpose of examples. For instance, such jivs knew that the jiv soul is an eternal substance, the body, etc., are the external associations. And in mythology, the rebirths, transmigrations of the jivs are described. Those become the examples of that knowledge. And he had learned about Shubh, pious, Ashubh, impious, and Shuddh, pure or passionless, upyogs, that is, conduct of the self and their consequence also. In mythology, the proclivity of these upyogs, pious, impious, and pure conduct of the self and their fusion experienced by the jeev is described. The same serves as in. Can you go down? as an example of that knowledge. Similar is the
Malik, can you
purpose.
make it full screen? I think there are gaps both sides, so you can at least enlarge. Yes, one step more.
Similar is the purpose of other descriptions.
Yes, good.
Here, the meaning of example is that he found similar happenings in the life of some jeev, which corroborated his knowledge about such jeev. So, this became an evidence for such knowledge. For example, a warrior gets highly encouraged in valor by listening to such stories of mythological personages in which the praise of warriors and censure of coward persons is found. Similarly, a religious person gets highly encouraged in religious practices by listening to such stories of mythological personages in which the praise of religious persons and censure of wicked persons is found. Thus, one should know the purpose of this Pratmana Yoga.
So first of all, the purpose is defined. So they have used here word mythological, but I think mythological stories are not always true, right? That is why the word mythological is used in common parlance, but here this word should not be used. Okay, generally we feel mythological means it's all very true, but it's not that. There are many imaginary stories in mythological, so I think this word should not be used here. So we best may use biographies and what else we can use. Stories of great personalities, all this. Okay, so three purpose in Pratman Yoga. First one was by way of describing the peculiarity of mundane existence, sansar ki vichitrata. Okay, what is the vichitrata? See, Ramchandra ji, Sita and Ravan, right? So Ravan kidnapped Sita and there was a fight between Ram and Ravan, and ultimately Ravan lost the battle and he got killed by Lakshman, right? But in the next birth, Sita, being the wife, she became a celestial being. Okay, and from that heaven, he came downward to put inflictions on Ram. Ram par upsarg kiya, and she went to address Ravan how to do Samyak Darshan. So this is not a peculiarity. In this birth, they are enemies, and Ram and Sita are husband-wife. And in the next birth, Ram was still continuing with this birth only, but Sita got into celestial being and Ravan went into hell. So Sita came all the way from heaven to earth to inflict pains on Ram. And she went into hell to address Ravan how to manifest right belief. This is called the peculiarity of mundane existence. Okay, so Pratman Yoga is full of stories like this. Okay, if you read 24 Tirthankar Puran, all the 24 Tirthankars, each Tirthankar's last 10 birth, okay, they are described there. Everyone must read. If you read that in this birth, from this birth he went to this birth, then his birth, and then ultimately he got liberated in the form of a Tirthankar. Okay, so those stories are very interesting. That shows you that the soul is into continuity. The soul never dies. The eternality of the soul that you can realize from different births, same character taking different birth from here and there. It's just like a Hindi movie, you know. So Pratman Yogas are very interesting. So the first part, that the purpose of Pratman Yoga is to encourage to follow the religion by way of describing the peculiarity of mundane existence. There is nothing here that you need to get engaged to. Okay, just learn the path of liberation and get yourself liberated. So that was the first point. The second, the consequences of punya and pap, virtue and vice, merits and demerits, auspicious and inauspicious. Okay, so the consequences. So showing that the one who has done good things in life, he gets good associations, and the one who has done wrong things in life, they get all kinds of wrong associations. And how do they suffer in all the realm of existence? All these are shown here. So this is the second purpose. The third purpose is the conduct of the great personages. What benefit we do get by learning the conduct of the great personages? Sita was left to jungle 3 times in his life, right? In her life. So first time when she went with Ram and Lakshman. The second time when there was some controversy that since Sita was with Sita was kidnapped by Ravan and she was in Lanka for a long period of time. So her there were questions on his character, and for that Ramchandra being a king and somebody complained, so he has to do the justice. So she left Sita in the forest, okay, and she was pregnant, and that also without informing. That was the second time. And the third time, when everything went good, Ram and Lec04, the sons of Sita, they were all together. Then Sita chose this path to go to the jungle and become Arjika. Okay, so three times. So all these conduct of great personages inspires us to take these difficult calls. Okay, everyone will say, Hemali, don't do this. This is not the right time to do this, all these things. Okay, now is the time to enjoy your life. But inspired by these personalities, they face so many adversities in their life. You study the story of Anjana. She was Hanuman's wife, and Hanuman was supposed to get liberated in the same birth. So he married Anjana and then he left. For 21 years he didn't return. And then he returned for one day and again left. And Anjana got pregnant and she was turned out of the home. So she faced many difficulties, but in those situations, she never left the what I would say the protocol of Dev Shastra Guru. Okay, she was
But
just
I think
thinking.
Anjana is Hanuman's mother, no? Not wife.
Sorry, yeah, Hanuman's mother, but Hanuman's father's name was Pavan Jai, right? Pavan Jai. Okay, so she was pregnant and she was turned out, and that's how the Hanuman got birth. Okay, and Hanuman is supposed to get liberated in the same birth. Okay, so Sita, then there is Maina Sundari, so many good characters you can see. We learn everything, we learn from all these great personages. So this was the purpose of Pratman Yoga. So 3 broad purposes. First one is the peculiarity of mundane existence. The second one is the consequences of punya and pap. And the third one is the conduct of the great personages. What kind of decisions do they took when they were in difficulties? Okay. So they never compromised on their principles. They struggled and they won. Okay. That is the message that we carry from all these stories. Okay. So these are the 3 broad purposes of studying Pratmanu Yoga. So everywhere the end objective is to leave sins, to leave vices, and to get into good things. Okay. So this is the purpose of Pratman Yoga. The people who have got less intellect, they are more interested in these kind of stories and they get motivated and understanding these stories, and in that stories the principles, the doctrines of Jainisms are also imbibed in them. So getting interested in stories lead them to understand the principles of Jainism. Okay, and by understanding the principles they can really apply those. And you see these epics Ramayana and Mahabharata, they were so famous in India that when the serial was coming, all the roads were empty. That much craze was there at that point of time, because there were no Netflix and internet in those days. Only TV was the medium of entertainment, and these became very popular. Each kind of dialogue, the motivation, it's all very good and very motivating. Okay, so the people with less intellect, they get attracted to these kind of things, and through them they learn ultimately how to manifest the passionlessness. Pratham, the word Pratham means slow-witted misbelievers, less intellect misbelievers. Okay, so this Anuyog is named as Pratman Yog. Now, this is for the common person. Now, those who have already manifested right belief, what is the benefit for them is mentioned in this paragraph. Further, if the jivas having attained the knowledge of tattvas, that means they have become enlightened. They are jnani. Okay, what Pratman Yug helps them to those jnanis? Okay, if they listen to this Parma Yoga, then for them this serves the purpose of examples. They already know the principles, and that they could see that, see, Ram applied this, Sita applied this, and they overcome those difficulties. Okay. And in mythology, actually, they wanted to write the word Puran. So Puran is nothing but the scriptures written on great personages. Okay. So mythology, I think we should not use word. What is the technical meaning of mythology, Emily? You know? It's not always the fact, it's fiction also.
Yeah, it's
mythology.
fact or fictional. Yeah.
Yeah, but in here our all stories are fact. Every character of our stories, they all get liberated in the end. That is the ending of our each Pratman Yug stories, you know. They will show the liberation directly or indirectly, or they will say that he went to Swarg, and from Swarg he would come down and he would become Tirthankar and he would liberated. All these stories end up in getting the protagonist liberated, you know. That's the essence of each story. So you could see that, for instance, such Jeev knew that the Jiva is an eternal and substance. The body, etc., are the external association. And in mythology, the rebirths of Jivas are described. Okay, those become the examples of that knowledge. So for enlightened one, his conviction is further strengthened by reading Prathman stories and seeing that these great personages never surrendered against any adversities. They fought, they struggled, and they won. Okay, so that carries a great what you can say motivation for us to believe in this, to follow this, and to struggle, to embrace struggle, right? Not fear of struggle, but to embrace struggle and win over it. Okay, so this is all about Prathman Yoga. The next one, the purpose of Karnan Yoga. Okay, three things in Karnan Yoga. The here also first paragraph is for the general people, those who have not manifested right belief, and the second paragraph is for the people who have manifested right belief. For them, studying Karnan Yoga, how does it help? Okay, so the second part is divided into 3 paragraphs, and there are 3 points A, B, C. So that we'll see. But the major content of Karnan Yogi is 3 wide, large branches. One is about the details of the jivas. Just now I mentioned that many different forms: 19, 14, 19, 57, 98, 402. Okay, so this is also Karnan Yoga. So entire botany is from Karnan Yoga. Okay, then details of karmas. Okay, very vivid details of karmas, and then the structure of the universe, the 3 worlds: upper world, middle world, and lower world. These are the basic contents of Karnan Yoga. Karnan Yoga writes about the statements which are only known by the omniscient. So you can just imagine how subtle the description would be, and by reading this and understanding this, our belief becomes more stronger that there exists an omniscient in this universe and I am capable of manifesting that. That is very important. Once you realize that you also have this attribute of manifesting omniscience in you, okay, we feel elevated. Okay, so we are not something ordinary or inferior to somebody. All souls are equal. All souls have the same potential. All souls can become God, right? It's not that only Jains can become God. Gautam Gandhar was a non-Jain. He was a Vedant scholar. He had 500 disciples, but he also converted to Jain and he went on to liberate. Okay, so anybody can manifest religion because all are souls and all souls are equal. So Karnan Yog's descriptions are very, very subtle. All that has been seen by the omniscient. Okay, a Meru Parvat is of so much size. We cannot express or prove anybody with this. Just reading the scriptures, we can only analyze and realize that, oh, it's such a big structure. So all these we know from Karnan Yoga, and Karnan Yoga also motivate us to believe that we also have this attribute of knowledge. When it is manifested fully, it becomes omniscience knowledge, and then you are able to know everything in the universe. Okay, so
सर तो
yeah.
अल्टीमेटली तो जैन बनना ही पड़ेगा फॉर दिस वास्ट नॉलेज, नहीं तो
So Jain is not a religion or a group, The one who believes in the soul, the one who believes that he is soul, he is a Jain. It's not that by birth, if I write Jain, then I am a Jain. By deeds, I am a Jain. So by deeds, anybody can be Jain, right? Even if my title is Jain, but if I don't follow the Jain scriptures, if I don't follow the Jain instruction, if I don't leave the what you call night food, Ratri Bhojan, then I'm not a Jain. Although my title is Jain. Everyone calls me Jain Saab, Jain Saab, Jain Saab. But I am not a true Jain, right? So Jain is not a, we can say, any group or something like that. It's an universal nature of the soul, okay? The soul who believes himself to be a soul, the soul who believes himself to be a complete soul is a Jain, right? So in that sense, anybody can become God, right? And we have seen the case of Gautam Gandhar, and then there are lots of cases in Pratman Yoga where, like Raja Shrenik, he was a Bodh, and Chelna, he saw Chelna and fell in love with her, and he wanted to marry her. But he realized that Chelna was a strong Jain, staunch Jain, and so how to impress her? So he said that I have a Jain temple in my home. I am a Jain. I have a temple in Jain in my home. So Chelna thought that a person who keeps a Jain temple in his home, so he must be a great follower of Jainism. So she accepted her proposal for marriage. And when she married and came here, she knew that she has been cheated. He was not a Jain. There was no Jain temple in his home. But now she was already married. So she never took divorce. What she did, she thought that this is all of a outcome of my past karmas. I must have cheated her in previous life, so he has cheated me. She remained calm. She started working on his internal purity, and with time, Shrenik also became a Jain. Okay, with that episode of Yashodhar Muniraj, and he became a Jain, and he is going to be the next Tirthankar in the next 24 Tirthankars. Raja Shrenik is going to be the first Tirthankar.
yes.
So you cannot say that anybody, a particular, cannot give a tag of Jainism, Jain to anybody. One who believes in this philosophy is a Jain. That would be a good definition for a Jain. Yeah. So let's start reading. Okay. So next, who will read? Malti ji, you read.
Yes, sir.
You didn't receive the book, no? Yesterday. Today, I think you will receive.
Fine, sir. Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, sir.
Hmm.
In Karnanu Yoga, the jivas are actuated to follow the religion through descriptions of the details of jivs as well as karma and structure of the universe. The jiv who wish to engage their upyog, active knowledge in religion, they get engaged in religion and become detached from vices by knowing and identifying the details of the jiv's gunasthan, spiritual stages, marganas, quest places, etc., and the details of the various kind of karma, the causes, conditions, and fruits in different jivas and hellish heavenly abodes in the universe, that is the three worlds. And if the upyog gets engrossed in such thoughts, then at once automatically religion gets evolved and vicious tendency ends. By its practice, even the attainment of Tattva Gyan, true knowledge and belief of the Tattvas, take place soon. And he becomes a true believer of Jinnah's religion by knowing its glory, that such minute and true description is found in Jinnah's religion only, and nowhere else it is found. And to such jivs who study this Karnanu Yoga after attaining true knowledge of tattvas, this appears to be the adjectival form of that tattva gyan. The details and specialities of these jiv tattvas are found in Karnanu Yoga, about which he has learnt. There, many details are described in their true Nishchay form, and many other details in conventional, that is the Vyavhar form, being attributed to be so. Many are of Praman, etc., form relating to the characteristics of Dravya substance, Kshetra, spatiality, Kal, time, and Bhav, qualities, etc. Many others are described with the relativity of instrumental cause and dependence of Upyog, etc. Thus, various forms of details are described. By believing them precisely in toto, such Jeev engrosses himself in the study of Karnanu Yoga. By the study of this Anuyog, one's Tattva Gyan becomes pure, that is faultless. For example, someone was knowing that a particular object is a jewel, but only on knowing the various specialities of that jewel, he becomes a true assayer of the flawless, pure jewel. Similarly, he was knowing the tattvas that these are jiv, etc. But only on knowing the various details of those tattvas, he acquires faultless knowledge of those tattvas. On acquiring the faultless knowledge of tattvas, one becomes of his own a distinguished, devout person. Further, if he engages his upyog, that is active knowledge elsewhere, then passions, etc., are increased, and the non-omniscient upyog does not remain incessantly concentrated or fixed on one particular object. Therefore, the true believer engages his upyog in the study of Karnanu Yoga, due to which the knowledge of substances as seen in omniscience is evolved. There remains the difference of pratyaksh and apratyaksh knowledge only. There is no contrariness in grasping or knowing the tattvas, etc. In this way, one should know the purpose of studying Karnanu Yoga. Karan means formulae concerning to mathematical calculations. That book which deals with this Anuyog or the topic is called Karnanu Yoga Etiology. In this Anuyog, the prominence of mathematical description is found.
So you see, for an ordinary being, what Karnan Yoga offers is that the jivas who wish to engage their active consciousness in religion, they get engaged in religion and becomes detached from vices. By knowing and identifying the details of the jivs, gunasthans. So again here the purpose is passionlessness. Okay. So to detach from demerits, pap, and to get attached into understanding the details of soul, non-soul elements in further details. Okay. So Jiva's Gunasthans, then Marganasthans, quest places, and the details of various kinds of karmas, their division, subdivisions, their effect. All these are very interesting story. We have like just mathematics. If you do this, you will end up here. You will do this, you end up there. If you do good things, you get good things in life. You do bad things, you get bad things in life. Okay. So with this knowledge, people do let go of their sins and they try to get into religion. Okay. Various kinds of their causes and condition and fruits in different jivas and hellish heavenly abodes in the universe. Okay. So there is the system of karma is absolutely perfect. Okay. If you do bad things, you are going to be punished. If not now, then you will end up in hell. But you have to pay for your deeds. Okay. As you sow, so you reap. Right. So whatever you do in this life, your responsibility, you are going to enjoy or suffer. Now we are studying this, right? So we will only get liberated, right? We will only get liberated. We will only experience the eternal bliss for a long, long time. Soul is eternal. Soul has no end. You have the choices either to get into this transmigration again and again and again, the cycle, or to break the cycle and get liberated. And that is very well possible. Okay. So, and if the upyog gets engrossed in such thoughts, then at once automatically religion, serenity, peace, calmness gets evolved and vicious tendency ends, right? So if you want to leave some wrong practices, you don't contemplate on wrong practices. You get involved into something good and these wrong things will automatically go away. Okay. Now we are studying here for two hours right now. So already your other things you are left. You are not seeing TV now. You are not talking to anybody now, right? You are not getting into any house course right now. You are studying. So we have this very unique positive system that you get involved in something. So automatically the other things go away. By its practice, even the attainment of Tattva Gyan, true knowledge and belief of the Tattvas takes place soon. So this is the process. And he becomes a true believer of Jina's religion. Okay. Such minute and true description is found in Jina's religion only. Nowhere else it is found. Okay. So this is for the common people. Now for those who are enlightened, then the description starts here. There are 3 points. This paragraph is A point. And to such jivas who study this Karnani Yoga after attaining true knowledge of Tattva, this appears to be the adjectival form of that, more detail of that. Okay, you have already understood 7 fundamental elements, but you go more deep into it, you correlate it with karma theory. Okay, so your understanding sharpens, your understanding sharpens, and if your understanding sharpens, you can apply these principles more often in your day-to-day life. Okay. So Jia, if your father scolds you, then what you will do? You'll start crying? No, then what you will do? You will practice discriminative knowledge that he is not a scolder, he is also a god, I am also a god. He is scolding my persona that Jia is and not the soul. I am the pure soul, right? And whatever he is saying for my welfare. So I should take it positively. So you develop such a good feeling at that point of time. So this is something practical that we have all to practice. And the more you practice, the more sharper you become. The more sharper you become, the more happier you become. You can diffuse a difficult situation in a moment, So the passions gets automatically reduced. And the general level of passions that was going on in our life, maybe say 2 years ago before you joined this course, and today, this difference you can always realize. Everyone can realize this difference. You are the same person, Jia, you were 2 years ago. Do you see any changes in yourself?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yes. So this is a gradual change and it will go on happening until we get liberated. After liberation, no changes. Okay. So this is our ultimate destiny that we are all going to achieve. Okay. And he becomes a true believer of Jina's religion by knowing its glory, that such a minute and true description is found in Jina's religion. So that was over. Now we were considering the person who has already manifested right belief. For him, Karnan Yoga acts as a, we can say, as a testimonial, as a correlation, right? So whatever we have understood from Dravyan Yoga, we can correlate it with the karma theory. Okay. There many details are described in their true nature, Nischay form, and many other details in conventional form, Vyavar, being attributed to be so. Many are of pramans. Pramans means comprehensive, valid knowledge, and form relating to the characteristics of Dravya, Kshetra, Kal, Bhav. Dravya is substance, Kshetra is a space point, Kal is time, and Bhav is the attributes. Okay. Many others are described with the relativity of instrumental cause, nimit, and dependence of upyog, etc. Thus, various forms of details are described by believing them. This is very important. By believing them precisely as it is in toto, such jiva engrosses himself in the study of Karnan Yoga. So this was the first point. Then the B. By the study of this Anuyog, one's Tattva-gyan becomes pure, faultless. His spiritual strength strengthens. Okay. For example, someone was knowing that a particular object is a jewel, but only on knowing the various specialities of that jewel, he becomes a true assayer of the flawless pure jewel. Okay. Similarly, was knowing the tattvas, the fundamental elements as they are, but only on knowing the various details of those fundamental elements, he acquires faultless knowledge of those tattvas. On acquiring the faultless knowledge of tattvas, one became of his own a distinguished devout person. Okay. Dharmatma. Third, further he engages his upyog, active consciousness elsewhere, then passions, etc. are increased. And non-omniscient upyog does not remain incessantly concentrated or fixed on one particular object. So, you cannot concentrate on the soul for a longer period of time right now as a householder. When you become a monk, of course, the frequency will increase. But as an householder, there are limitations to concentrate on the self. So what you will do other times? So in other times, you will study this Karnan Yoga so that you don't get into any other wrong things where passions will increase. Your karma's bondage will also increase. Inauspicious karmas will bind. Okay. So if you engage in the study of Karnan Yoga and know these subtle things, you will automatically get interested. Your time will also be well utilized, right? And at the same time, you will reap the fruits also, which will further help you to get associations of true God, true scriptures, and true monks. There remains the difference of pratyaks and apratyaks knowledge only. Okay. Omniscience knows is directly. We know this through the scriptures. Okay. So there is no contrariness in grasping or knowing the tattvas. In this way, one should know the purpose of studying Karnan Yoga. Karan means formula. Okay. Concerning to mathematical calculation. So mathematical calculation is a prominent subject in Karnan Yoga. And these calculations are very scientific, So the person who has got an engineering background, scientific background, they get connected to Karnan Yoga very nicely, and they develop an interest in religion. So this is how those kind of category of people, for them, this Karnan Yoga acts as a medium to join in the main streamlined path of liberation. Okay. So in this Yoga, the prominence of methical description is found. Okay. Now we move on to Charnan Yoga, the ethics or on the conduct. Okay. The purpose of Charnan Yoga. Jia, you have read already, right? So who else is left over here? Hemali, you are left. You read, then Roshni will read.
Okay, sir. The purpose of Chandana Yoga ethics. Now, the purpose of Chandana Yoga ethics is being described. In Charnana Yoga, the Jeeves are actuated to follow the religious practices by explaining the different means of observing religion. The Jeeves who do not know as to what is beneficial and what is harmful for them and remain engrossed in sinful activities like injury, etc., are discoursed in such a way that they give up vicious acts and adopt religious practices. Knowing this, those who are inclined towards religious practices, they engage themselves in such religious practices which they can follow after listening to the details, rituals of householders and monks' religious rituals, duties. By such practices, passions become feeble, and consequently, so much is achieved that they do not suffer from miseries and bad states of existence, but obtain happiness in good states of existence. And by observance of such practices, the instrumentality of Jinnah's faith, religion, is maintained. And in such state, if the attainment of Tattva Gyan be destined, then it gets evolved. And those Jeeves who practice Charnana Yoga after attaining the knowledge of tattvas, to them all these observances appear to be in accordance with their passionless disposition, Vitak Bhav. On evolution of partial and complete passionlessness, such sort of householder's state and monk's state respectively is attained because the instrumental cause and effect relationship is found in these observances. Knowing this and identifying the characteristics of the householders and monks' religion duties, they indulge in such suitable religious practices as is warranted by the degree of passionlessness evolved in them. There, whatever degree of passionlessness is evolved in them, they know it is to be beneficial, and whatever degree of passion's rag persists, they know it is to be worthless and believe total passionlessness to be the supreme religion. Such is the purpose of Charnana Yoga ethics.
So you see, the passionlessness, manifestation of passionlessness is the ultimate objective here. Okay. So everywhere we see. So Charnan Yoga, by depicting the observance of a monk and observance of an householder, how they should behave, what should be their everyday activity, what are the disciplines that they should follow, what is their protocol, everything is explained in Charnan Yoga so that you are able to accept or adopt these best practices and mold your life according to Jaina's Charnan Yoga. Okay, so what to eat, what not to eat, all these forms a part of Charnan Yoga, which is the external discipline of a lay person or a monk. Okay, what is beneficial to you, what is harmful to you. If you do this, you will bind such karmas and you will end up here. So the idea is to get into best religious practices and give up vicious acts. Okay. Now, by such practices, religious practices, the passions become feeble. Okay. And consequently, so much is achieved that they do not suffer from miseries in bad states of existence, but obtain happiness in good states of existence. And by observance of such practices, the instrumentality of Jinnah's faith, religion, is maintained. Okay. So we have got access to this kind of religion, scriptures, is just because we practice these disciplines in our earlier life. And that's why we bonded the auspicious karma, and that's come into fruition. So we have got all these associations. Okay. We are different part of the globe, but we have all come together to study this. Okay. Just because of our past karmas. Okay. So because of this, your ethics and your conduct you bind such auspicious karma that you have got all these good associations, and you are going to get further. You are going to get Samosaran. You are going to go to the Tirthankar's Samosaran, listen directly to the Tirthankar, and ultimately we are all going to get liberated. For an enlightened soul, what Charnan Yoga brings? So observances appear to be in accordance with their passionless disposition. Okay. So an enlightened soul knows that manifesting attachment and aversion is detrimental to my spiritual life. It's killing my happiness. So what he will do? He will try to manifest passionless disposition. Okay. How to do that? He will learn tricks. He will observe those vows and rituals. Okay, which fosters in him the feeling of passionless disposition. Okay, and on evolution of partial and complete passionlessness, such sort of householder state and monk state respectively is attained. So the householder have done the partial renunciation of vices, and the monk have completely renounced the vices. Knowing this and identifying the characteristics of the householder and monk's religion, they indulge in such suitable religious practices as is warranted by the degree of passionless evolved in them. Okay. Therefore, whatever degree of passionlessness is evolved in them, they know it to be beneficial, and whatever degree of passions persist, they know it to be worthless and believe total passionlessness to be the supreme religion. Okay. So this is the purpose of Charnan Yoga. Charnan Yoga motivates you to understand that so much of attachment is left over, and how to get rid of those attachments is all planning that's done by Charnan Yoga. Okay, your conduct, where to go, where not to go, what to eat, what not to eat, what dress to wear or not to wear, what are the best business practices, right? All these, you should, how religiously you should donate, what percentage of wealth you should donate to religion every year. All these rules are laid down in Charnan Yoga, and if you follow this, you will continue to progress in the path of spirituality. Now the last one, the purpose of Dravyanu Yoga, metaphysics. Okay, so the main operation of science of practicing discriminative knowledge is best explained by Dravyanu Yoga scriptures. Okay, Sem5, Pravachan, then we have Dravya Sangra, Paramatam Prakash. All these scriptures are from Dravyanu Yoga. So the purpose of Dravyanu Yoga.
Sir, should I read?
Yeah.
Okay. The purpose of Dravyanu Yoga, metaphysics. Now the purpose of Dravyanu Yoga or metaphysics is being described. In Dravyanu Yoga, the Jeevs are actuated to follow the religion by describing the substances and the tattvas, essential principles. The Jeevs who do not know and identify the Jeev, etc. substances and the tattvas, and do not know the self, non-self to be different entities, are discoursed through reasoning, examples, logic, and through praman, or comprehensive viewpoint, and nay, partial viewpoints, in such a way that they are able to grasp the true nature of tattvas and develop right faith in them. By its regular study, the eternal ignorance is removed. When the tattvas fancied or fabricated by other non-Jain faiths appear to be false, then the belief of Jina's faith gets evolved, and if one makes efforts for identifying their true nature, then he may attain the right belief in tattvas very soon. Further, if such Jeevs who have attained Tattva Gyan regularly study Dravyanu Yoga, then all those descriptions appear to, but if he continues to practice it, then it remains in his memory. If he does not practice it, he forgets it. Similarly, after one has attained Tattva Gyan, if he continues to study Dravyanu Yoga, which deals with it, then that Tattva Gyan persists. If he does not do so, he forgets it. Or the Tattva Gyan, which was attained in brief form, if becomes clear or lucid through different logic reasoning examples, then there can be no laxity in it. Moreover, due to lessening of passions, by this sort of practice and study, moksha is attained soon. In this way, one should know the purpose of Dravyana Yoga or metaphysics.
So the main operation of practicing science of discrimination is best described in Dravyana Yoga, that is the main subject. And for that, you have to know the 7 fundamentals very clearly. And in 7 fundamentals, the description of the 6 substances also comes, it also includes in that, because Jeev and Ajeev. So basically, if we see, one category is Jeev and all others are Ajeev. So in Ajeev, you have 5 other substances like matter, medium of motion, medium of rest, then space and time. Okay. So 7 fundamentals covers the 6 substances also. And these 7 fundamentals, how to practice discriminative knowledge by understanding these 7 fundamentals, all these are part of Dravyana Yoga. And when you are practicing discriminative knowledge, that is the time you realize yourself, and your journey journey to the path of liberation begins from right belief. Okay. So 6 substance, 7 fundamentals, all these are part of Dravyana Yoga. The jivas who don't know and identify the jiva, etc. substance and the tattvas do not know the self and non-self to be different entities, are discoursed through reasoning, okay, examples, logic. So logic is a very important subject in Dravyana Yoga, because we have to prove everything logically, understand everything logically. If we understand everything logically, then our belief develops, and it also strengthens, and it remains firm, right? So that is what we want. And through praman. So Nai and praman are the tools for understanding the 7 fundamentals. So praman is a comprehensive valid knowledge, and the Nai is a view of point. Naya, partial viewpoints, in such a way that they are able to grasp the true nature of 7 fundamental elements and develop right faith in them. By its regular study, the eternal ignorance is removed. Now this regular study, regular word is very, very important here. By its regular study, the eternal ignorance is removed. So even if you are very intelligent, if you remember things reading one time, still, if you don't do regular studies, then you will not be able to get the essence of this knowledge. Okay. So repetitions is required continuously every now and then over a period of time, you automatically remember these things and you don't forget it. Okay. When the tattvas fancied or fabricated by the other faiths appear to be false, then the belief of Jina's faith gets evolved. When you see that others are preaching the wrong things, then only believe, oh, what our Tirthankars and Sarvagna did for us. They did a very good job. They realized they made us realize the truth. Okay. Because other faiths are all depicting false things, and you end up nowhere by understanding the wrong things. So understanding the right thing is very important, and to get to such kind of knowledge is again more important and rare also. Okay. So, and if one makes efforts for identifying their true nature, then he may attain right belief in tattvas very soon. So that was for the general being. For enlightened souls, what is the Dravyana Yoga brings? That whatever you have understood, if you don't keep on repeating it, then you tend to forget. Okay. And if you keep on repeating it, then not only you remember, but you are better able to practice it in your day-to-day life, the principles that you have already learned. Okay. Similarly, so supposing you are very feeling very anxiety that when that I've ordered something, when it will come. Okay. So at that point of time, sequence bound modification principle will realize you to be patient, that it will come at the right time. Don't get anxiety for that. It will come at the right time. In the meantime, you enjoy your life. When it has to come, it will come. If it's not going to come today, it will come tomorrow. But it will come at the right time. With this belief, you don't become restless, right? You are always calm and composed. You are able to do things coolly, meticulously, and more importantly, you enjoy while doing everything, right? So this Tattva Gyan of that Dravyan Yoga is very, very important. So those who have enlightened themselves, so for them this acts as a practice, and you have more clarity on what already you have understood. You go on deepening those topics and contents, and your knowledge becomes very clear and lucid through different logic reasoning examples, etc. There can be no laxity in it. So that's very important. Once you have understood very well, then there could not be any laxity in it. Moreover, due to lessening of passions, by this sort of practice and study, the liberation is attained soon. Okay. So this was the purpose of Dravyan Yoga, to practice the science of discrimination in any situation that only Dravyan Yoga teaches us. Okay. So when we know all the four yogas, their purpose and their methodology, and we are able to strike a balance between the four, our life journey is so smooth, so smooth. You really enjoy those moments. So everyone should master these four expositions. Okay. And in the chapter of happiness, in syllabus of happiness, I explained this four anuyogas as a second chapter. First one I taught four anuyogas only. Okay. So it's very important, because unless and until you know the scriptures in the right sense, you cannot manifest the true religion. Now the methodology of exposition is being discussed one at a time. So first we begin the methodology of exposition in Prathamanuyog. Madhuji.
Yes, sir. The methodology of exposition in Anuyogas. Now, the methodology of exposition found in these Anuyogas is being described. The methodology of exposition in Pratmanu Yoga. In Pratmanu Yoga, whatever main stories are, the same are described as they are, and in them, the relevant expositions pertaining to the topic under discussion are also given. Some are described as it is, and some are given according to the thoughts of the author of the book, but the purpose is not changed. For example, on the auspicious occasions of the Tirthankaras, Devas, and the Indras, chief gods of heaven, come to celebrate the function. So, this story is true, and the Indras offered invocation to them, which is described in this Anuyoga. Although the Indras offered invocation in different words, and here in Pratmanayog, the author has described it in some other words, but the purpose of invocation is not changed. Further, some conversation took place between some persons. There, the words uttered were different, whereas here the author has used some other words, but the same purpose is maintained, and the names of town, forest, battlefields, etc., used here are the same but maintaining the same purpose. The description is found in less or more words. Other descriptions should also be known likewise. Further, the relevant stories also are written by the authors as per their own thoughts. For example, in Dharma Pariksha, the story of the stupid fellows is found. There is no such rule that the same story was narrated by Manovega, but some tale fostering stupidity was narrated. So, they have supported the same purpose. Similarly, one should know elsewhere also. Here, here someone may say, untrue statements are not possible in Jain Shastras. Answer, that which fosters a different purpose is called untrue. For example, someone tells a person that you should say so. He did not speak in the same words, but spoke with the same purpose. Therefore, he is not called a liar. If the rule be that the same words be used, then if someone had contemplated on renunciation in various ways, describing all that would increase the volume of the book. And if nothing is written about it, then its concept will not be clear. Therefore, in the context of renunciation, the authors will write descriptions fostering renunciation only in less or more words as per their thoughts, but will not write anything fostering passions. Here, the purpose is not changed. Therefore, it is not untrue. In the same way, one should know elsewhere also.
Stop. Stop.
Yeah. Yes.
So this is the end of the first point. So this methodology of exposition in Pratman Yoga has 4 points. Okay. So this is the end of the first point. So the first point states that in Pratman Yoga there is a way of writing stories. So the facts, the dialogues may change, the narration may change, but the purpose remains the same. Right. So if there was a story of fools, right? The story will remain of the fools, but the dialogues may change. So there is a character called Manoveg. Okay. So Manoveg narrated some tales fostering stupidity. Okay. But that dialogues will change. That's what Pratman Yoga, there is a methodology where the purpose does not change, but the content changes. Depicting the way of content, it changes, but the end objective always remains the same. And each and every exposition helps us in getting towards passionlessness. The purpose does not change anywhere. Okay. So first one is the purpose of the stories does not change, but the words may change, the dialogues may change, the narratives may change. So this kind of things happens in Pratman Yoga. There is nothing wrong in it because the purpose does not change. Okay. So the
Sir,
question,
in the course book which we had just recently, say what you will. वो Pratman Yog सही है, but
right.
stories are different.
Yeah.
In different dialogues and
Yeah.
written.
So
It
the
is written by
author writes the dialogues according to his imagination, but a particular point time where renunciation has to be shown, it shows renunciation. At particular place where sadharmic vatsalya is to be shown, that remains the same. The purpose remains the same, but the method of describing may change. That's what they're trying to explain here. So never feel that how this knowledge could come in the minds of the omniscients, that such and such would happen. So all these scriptures are based on the omniscience knowledge. So the Pratman Yoga, there is an exposition which is about the stories. In that, certain you can say liberties are given, like changing the dialogues, because nobody can remember the same things, right? Now we are passing on to this, that you narrate such a story that will show that honesty always pays. So now you want to show that honesty always pays, honesty is the best policy, that you want to show. But you can show this by the medium of any kind of stories, right? So those stories can change, but the purpose remains the same. Here someone may say, one question is good question. Untrue statements are not possible in Jain Shastras. So answer says, that which fosters a different purpose is called untrue. For example, someone tells a person that you should say so. He did not speak in the same words, but spoke with the same purpose. Therefore, he is not called a liar. Okay. So all these stories somewhat are like that only. If the rule be that the same words be used, then if someone had contemplated on renunciation in various ways, describing all that would increase the volume of the book. Okay. And if nothing is written about it, then its concept will not be clear. Therefore, in the context of renunciation, the authors will write description fostering renunciation only in less or more words. Okay. As per their thoughts, but will not write anything fostering passions. Okay. So anything fostering passions would not be depicted in any of the scriptures of our Jainism. Always there will be stories or any methodology may be used to foster passionlessness, not to increase the passions. So here the purpose is not changed, therefore it is not untrue. In the same way, one should know elsewhere also. So this is the first point. Purpose does not change. Now the second point coming up is prominent things are supported. Okay. So in Pratman Yoga, prominent things are supported. That is the second point. Okay. Then the third point would come in the next page. I will mention you when it comes. Now we will see the second point. So Amitaji, you start reading. Here are 4 points, I think A, B. Okay, only A and B. Okay, that's second point only.
Am I reading at and as?
Further in Pratman Yoga.
Okay, thank you. Further, in Pratmanu Yoga, only the prominent things are supported. For example, someone observed fast. Although its fruit was insignificant, but he attained higher state of existence due to his other religious observances simultaneously. Here, such attainment is described to be the result of observance of fast only. In the same way, one should know elsewhere also. And as someone firmly observed the vow of chastity, etc., chanted Namaskar mantra, obeisance to 5 supreme souls, and also observed other religious practices, his miseries came to an end, and, thank you, Mani, miracles happened. So all this is not caused only by such religious practices, but such agreeable events took place due to the rise of some other karmas. Nevertheless, such events are described to be fruit of observance of chastity, etc. only. Similarly, someone indulged in some wicked act and obtained hellish birth, so this is not the result of that wicked act alone, wicked act only, but owing to the rise of some other karma. He got birth in the lower state of existence or suffered for miseries, etc. But it is described to be the fruit of that wicked act only. Likewise, one should know the other examples. Here someone may say, describing such false fruit is not desirable. How can such statements be believed to be authentic? Answer. For the benefit of those ignorant persons who do not take interest in religious practices and are not afraid of wicked acts, without showing more fruit of such acts, such descriptions are found. When the fruit of religion be described to be a fruit of sin, the fruit of sin be described to be the fruit of religion, then it is false. But here it is not. For example, 10 persons jointly do some work. There, if it is described conventionally to be the work of one person only, then it is not wrong. Or somebody's ancestors performed some act. If from one caste point of view, it is described conventionally to be the performance of their sons, etc., then there is nothing wrong. Similarly, one event took place as a result of several virtuous and vicious acts. If conventionally it is described to be the result of one virtuous or vicious act, then there is nothing wrong. Or whatever has been the result of some other virtuous or vicious act. If, from the similar category point of view, the same is described conventionally to be the result of any other virtuous or vicious act only, then there is nothing wrong. In preachings, statements are made at some places from conventional Vyavhar point of view and at some places from realistic Nishchay point of view. Here, in Pratmanu Yoga, the Upchara, superimposed form of Vyavhar, conventional practices, are described. In this way, it is authentic, but one should not treat this to be correct degree to degree. It should be known that degree to degree description is found in Karunani Yoga. Further,
Stop. So this is the end of the second point. Okay. One prominent things are supported. Like example, if your child is disturbing you today very much, okay, and then suddenly he falls, then what you say? That you were disturbing me for 1 hour, so you got this result. Actually, the falling is not the result of the disturbing right now. It is of the past karmas. But to motivate him not to disturb you further anytime, we say like this, that you did this, so you get this. So all the Pratman Yuga things are like that only. Just like giving medicines to the child, you give sweet also along with medicines. Okay, you give sweet and then along with sweet you give medicine. So he takes it, right? So similarly in Pratman Yoga, the acharyas try to explain the people who are not very intellect through the medium of stories, but the purpose is captured. Okay, the purpose does not change, but the narratives do change. Okay, and as someone firmly observed the vows of chastity, etc., chanted Namaskar mantra, and also observed other religious practices, his miseries came to end and miracles appeared. So all this is not caused only by such religious activities, but we to motivate, like someone was not going to temple, you tell him to go to temple and he starts going temple and his business flourishes. So you see, you tell him that you see, you started going to temple, so your business is doing good. Okay. So he develops an interest in religion. When he goes to temple, then you say just going to the temple won't help you. Okay, you start doing swadhyay. So he starts doing swadhyay. Then you said only doing swadhyay will not do. You understand the swadhyay, you contemplate on that. So he start contemplating. Then you tell him only contemplating will not do. You start making decision. So from he was nowhere in the religion, he started going to temple, he started doing swadhyaya, he started doing contemplation, he started taking decisions. Okay. So this is the journey that uninitiated seeker, for them, this acts as a medium, Pratman Yoga. Okay. So someone indulge in some wicked act and obtained hellish birth. So this is not the result of that wicked act only, but owing to the rise of some other karma, he got birth in the lower state of existence or suffered from miseries. But it is described to be the fruit of that wicked act only. Likewise, one should know the other examples. So again here, that how you can describe false fruit. Okay, it's not desirable. But here said that we are not doing any false things. Only thing is that those ignorant persons who do not take interest in religious practices and are not afraid of wicked acts, without showing more fruit of such act, such descriptions are found. They will not leave those practices, right? So in order to leave them those wicked acts, wrong things, wrong activities, they motivate him to get into religion. Okay. So largely the statements in Pratman Yoga are from conventional point of view, and but the descriptions are not true degree to degree. Okay, they are not correct degree to degree. It should be known that degree to degree description is found in Karnanuyog. Okay, so here are some gross statements being given just to make you understand and motivate you. Okay, so this was the second point. Third point coming up is about observing one aspect, observing one particular conventional form of religious practice. He is said to be following the religion in totality. Okay, they will see one part of it and they will describe that you are following it totally, just to motivate you. Okay, so we will see with examples when we study this one. Here three paragraphs are there, and the fourth paragraph is the conclusion. So 3a is about the right belief. Okay, 3b, the next paragraph, is about the right knowledge, and 3c, the third paragraph, is about the right conduct. And then the next paragraph is, of course, the conclusion of all these three. Okay, so we will read one by one.
So before
Yeah.
we move, so I did not understand this bit. Above, we are saying that when the fruits of religion to be described to be the fruits of sin to be described to be the fruit of religion, then it is false. But here it is not so. And then these examples. So this bit I did
So
not
they are
understand.
just what you can say, enlarging things. You know, he did some wicked things and he got some fruits, right? So that fruit is not a direct outcome of that wicked things, right? But we do it that way to make him leave those wicked things and get into religion. So it is not degree to degree correct, but more or less it is like that. Sometimes I can highlight such things, you know, which motivates the seeker to get into religion. So that's only a way of motivation. The facts may vary. It's not degree to degree. That's what it wants to say. Okay. But there will not be any wrong description. Like fruits of sins will not be shown as fruits of merits, you know, and fruits of merits will not be shown as a fruits of sin. That wrong description would not be there, but we may magnify something to highlight it more. So the fourth, now the third point. Okay. So Jia, you are there? You will read?
Yes. Sir.
Yeah. 3a. Further in Pratmaniyo.
Further in Pratmanu Yoga, if someone is found to be observing one particular conventional form of religious practice, he is said to be following the religion in toto. For example, those Jeeves who are found not having any doubt in religion or craving for worldly enjoyments, etc., are said to have attained the right belief. But only by not having doubts, desired, etc., in any one particular religious aspect, the right belief cannot be evolved. The right belief is evolved on developing staunch faith in tattvas. But here, the real right belief has been superimposed in the conventional right belief, and the conventional right belief in toto has been superimposed in any one aspect of conventional right belief. Thus, by upchar, superimposition, the right belief is said to have been evolved.
Stop. Let me explain this. Anybody understood this? That, for example, those jivas who are found not having any doubt in religion, this is the second part, craving for worldly enjoyments. These two attributes, do anyone remember?
So not having sanshay.
Yes, Sanshay, not Sanshay one, but you know, there are 8 attributes of right belief. In Chaidala, it was there, 8 attributes. What it is called? Nishankit, Nikangshit, you know, 8 limbs of right belief. Anyone remembers Chaidala's 8 limbs? How do you, one who manifests right belief, they have all these qualities coming in them. So one was, they don't have any doubts in the Dev Shastra Guru, in the fundamental elements. This was one. then they don't have sensual desires, you know. Nishankit, Nikangshit, Nirvichikitsa, Amud Drashti. Amitaji, you must be knowing all this.
I wrote them in my book. So I'm reading from here.
Okay.
Nishankit, Nikankshit, Nirvichikitsa, Upguhan, Sthitikaran, Vatsalya, and Prabhavna.
Right. So all
Amud
these
Drashti.
eight components of a right believer. Now only seeing one attribute or two attribute out of 8, they termed him as a right believer. This is just a motivation. He does not become a right believer. But this is the way of depicting in Pratman Yoga. They want to motivate you, right? So I will see one good quality of Emily and I will praise him. I will praise her, right? But that doesn't mean that she has become good. Just seeing one quality, we what I wanted to highlight is we enlarge it, you know, we make it prominent. Okay, so this is the way of Pratman Yoga. So this was about right belief. Now similarly, something about right knowledge will also be described, and something about right conduct is also coming into description. Okay, so these are superimposed, you know, seeing one quality, we are superimposed in him that he is a right believer. Okay, although he is not, but this is a way of motivation. Okay, now read the next paragraph.
So there's some disturbance here. Can someone else see?
Okay, Roshni ji, you pick up.
Yes. Further, on attaining knowledge of one part, ang, of any Jain Shastra, the right knowledge is said to have been evolved. But on attaining the knowledge of tattvas, devoid of doubt, perversities, the right knowledge is evolved. Here also the right knowledge is termed so by upchar, conventionally, as stated above. Further, if someone observes some pious conduct, he is said to have attained right conduct. And if one has accepted Jain religion and practices some vow in smaller or greater measure, he is called Shravak, a true believer, householder observing small vows of partial conduct. In reality, on attainment of fifth gunastan, in reality, on attainment of fifth gunastan only, one is called a Shravak. But in the aforesaid manner, conventionally, by upchar, he is called a Shravak. In the Shastra Uttar Puran, the king Shrenik is termed a supreme Shravak, though he was a vowless or incontinent householder, but because he was a Jain, so he is described so. Likewise, one should know elsewhere. Further, one who accepts Muniling, possessionless, naked monk state, without right belief, and even if externally he is found with some blemish, he is still called a Muni. Although on attainment of 6 Gunastan, one becomes a Muni, but in the aforesaid manner, conventionally, by upchar, he, the monk, with blemishes is called a Muni. In Samosaran Sabha, omniscience preaching arena, the presence of a particular number of monks is stated, but all of them were not the true Paulingi Munis. But because of acceptance of external Jain monks' posture, all are termed as monks. Similarly, one should know elsewhere.
Stop. So in 3b, in terms of knowledge, right? One part of any Jain Shastra, on attaining the knowledge of one part of any Jain Shastra, the right knowledge is said to have been evolved. Okay. So here the Sanshay will come. Himali, you were saying no doubt. So first one doubt was about
Yes.
the Samyak Darshan. So there were 8 limbs, and here Sanshay, Viparya, and Anadhyavasai. Okay. So devoid of doubt, etc. So etc. That is Sanshay, that is doubt, Viparya, perversity, and indecision. Third one is Anadhyavasai, that is indecision. Okay, is right. But on attaining the knowledge of tattvas, devoid of doubt, etc. So doubt, perversity, and the third one is indecision, Anadhyavasai. Okay, preserve perversities, the right knowledge is evolved. Doubt, etc. perversities, the right knowledge is evolved. Here also right knowledge is termed so by upchar, conventionally as stated above. Okay. So knowing only one part, we presume that he has done the whole thing. Okay. So that is the way of depicting, because again we want to motivate. Okay. So we just see good one quality, we appreciate that quality and label him as a true believer. Okay. Although he may not be a true believer, but this is how the descriptions are given in Prathma Nu Yog. Similar in
So
terms
what?
of conduct, yeah.
Sorry, sir. So
Huh.
what is perversity called?
Wrong
Sanshay?
belief, wrong belief. Viparya,
No, no.
viparya,
Viparya.
viparya. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Viparya is wrong belief, nothing else. Okay. Now, in terms of conduct, Samyak Charitra, that is the third. There are two examples given. One is for the householder, the other is for the monk. In terms of householder, now a true Shravak is the fifth stage Gunasthan Varti, fifth stage of fifth spiritual state of fifth stage of spirituality. Okay, is the fifth Gunasthan. He is the actual genuine Shravak. Okay, or an householder or a lay person it is called. But Shrenik was not that. But he was appreciated in the Samosaran, Uttar Puran. King Sheni was termed as a supreme Shravak. Although he was not a supreme Shravak, he was just an ordinary Shravak. But likewise, such descriptions are there just to motivate. Okay. So people give some, the monks or the motivator describes in such a manner for others to follow, you know. Similarly, in case of monk, one who accepts Mulilinga, that is possessionless naked monk state without right belief, even if externally is found with some blemish, is still called a monk. Okay. Although on attainment of sixth Gunasthan, one becomes a Muni, but in the aforesaid manner, conventionally by Upchar, the monk with blemishes is also called a Muni. In Samosaran Sabha, omniscient preaching's arena, the presence of a particular number of monks is stated, okay, in the scriptures. But all of them were not true Bhavlingi Munis, okay, but true spiritual monks with right belief. But because of acceptance of external Jain monk posture, all are termed as monks, okay. So in Samosaran, there are specific places to, sit. So Munis will sit here, the Stravaks will sit here, the animals will sit here. So there are 12 different positions for each. So in that particular group of monk, all are not true monks, okay, but they are externally true monks. Okay, they are naked, they are possessionless. So they are true monk in that sense. Internally, they may not have destroyed the 3 levels of passions that is required for a true monk. Okay, but still they are considered as monk. So in Pratmanyog, these kind of descriptions are there. So we should not go very deep into those kind of descriptions, but generally believe that the purpose is to motivate. Okay, calling them an Uttam Shravak is to motivate him. He was not a Uttam Shravak, but still we motivate in that manner. Now the last point, fourth point coming up. Further in Pratmanyog, someone is in some yeah. So for A, B, C, D, there are 4 paragraphs and 4 points. 4A, 4B, 4C, and 4D. All the Pratmanyug stories. First one is about Vishnu Kumar Muniraj. We have read that story of Raksha Bandhan. So
Yes.
he was a monk and 700 monks were being burnt. So to save them, he left his monkhood and helped them in averting that afflictions on the monks, right? So he was appreciated from the Vatsalyang. Vatsalyang means looking after co-religionist, taking care of co-religionist. That was Vatsalyang. So he was appreciated from that perspective. But it is not advisable to leave monkhood and attain a smaller position, that of a householder, something like that. Okay. So
Sir,
all the
ये हुआ क्रमबद्ध पर्याय में अनहोनी. Would you read that?
हाँ
मतलब ये जो इसमें जो हुआ ना, they were supposed to be burnt.
हाँ.
लेकिन उन्होंने
So as a monk, you should not have that kind of feeling of compassion for fellow religionist. Okay,
That's true.
that
Yes.
should not be done at a level of monk. As a householder, we should always help each other, right? But in terms of monks, their primary concern is to manifest passionlessness. Okay, but he left monkhood to help those monks. So that is not advisable from the viewpoint of like the message is it is not desirable for others to accept lower religious status by giving up higher status. So he was a monk, so he gave up higher status and he became a householder to save those monks. Okay,
Yeah.
so that is not advisable. So
That's
he
true.
was appreciated from the perspective of helping co-religionists. From that perspective, it is okay to appreciate, but it is not advisable for others to give up higher position and get into lower positions. Okay.
तो that's what I'm saying. ये क्रमबद्ध पर्याय हुआ ना, example of क्रमबद्ध पर्याय.
हाँ, क्रमबद्ध पर्याय तो हुआ, क्रमबद्ध पर्याय तो सब जगह लगेगा जो भी कुछ हो रहा है, but the purpose was not that, the purpose is to motivate. In Pratman Yoga, generally motivation is the biggest factor to get into religion. Okay, so from that perspective, he was appreciated, but under this pretext, it is not desirable for others to accept lower religious status, lower acts. Okay, so all the four examples are like that only. So first one is about Vishnu Kumar Muniraj, then the second one is about a cowherd, then the third one is about King Vajrakanta, and the fourth one is about an ordinary Shravak, ordinary householder. So all the four examples depicts the same thing, not desirable to accept lower religious status by giving up higher status. But still, in Pratman Yoga, we appreciate. So for A, B, C, D. So who will read? Rekha is there? No, Rekha is not there. Malti ji, you read. 4 stories only.
Further, in Pratman Yoga, if someone indulges in some undesirable act with religious attitude, even then he is praised. For instance, Vishnu Kumar Muni, a Jain monk possessed with supernatural power, removed the affliction of the other monks with religious attitude, but it was not desirable to indulge in this act by forsaking the status of a monk, because such an act is possible in householder's conduct only, and monk's conduct is higher than the householder's conduct. Therefore, it is not praiseworthy to accept lower religious status by giving up higher religious status. But monk Vishnu Kumar Muni has been praised due to the prominence of Vatsalya Ang, that is, affectionate feeling towards the co-religionist. Under this pretext, it is not desirable for others to accept lower religious status by giving up higher status. Further, it is described that a coward created hot atmosphere around a Jain monk by burning fire. He did so out of compassion. One should surely remove the upsarg caused externally by others, but removing the natural parishar, disagreeable condition of cold, etc., is the cause of arousing liking passion in the monk, and the monk should not indulge in liking passions. Therefore, such an act causes affliction instead of removing it. That is why the judicious persons do not make effort for removing cold. The coward was an ignorant person, but he did so out of compassion. Therefore, he is praised. But under this pretext, it is not desirable for others to indulge in such acts which are contrary to religious practice. Further, the king Vajrakaran did not salute the king Singhodara and kept the idol of Jinn carved in the ring. Even the greater true believers salute the kings, etc. There is no fault in it. But disrespect is caused on keeping the idol in the ring, because no such adorable idol is possible as per set norms. Therefore, this act is faulty. But he was not aware of this, and out of religious affection, he developed a feeling, I will not salute anybody else. Therefore, he is praised. But under this pretext, it is not desirable for others to indulge in such acts. Further, for the sake of getting a son, etc., or mitigating disease and other calamities, some people built temples, chaityalayas, and worshipped jinns, idol, etc., chanted hymns, and recited Namokar mantra, etc. But such practices destroy the Nihanchita guna, the virtue of desirelessness, and amount to indulgence in Nidan Bandh type sorrowful concentration. But of inner inauspicious purposes, it causes the bondage of inauspicious karma only. But even being deluded, he did not worship false deities, etc., which are the cause of enormous and intense bondage of pap karmas. Considering this aspect, he has been praised. Under this pretext, it is not desirable for others to adopt religious practices for temporal gains. Likewise, one should know elsewhere also. Thus, there are found many such descriptions in Pratmanu. Knowing their real sense, one should not get deluded.
So Vishnu Kumar Muniraj, you know the story. The second one is about a cow herd, Gwala, who takes care of cows and all. So out of compassion, he was not a Jain, okay, but a Jain monk in the time of cold, he was shivering, right? So he thought of helping that monk. So he created a hot atmosphere, okay, by burning fire around the monk. So for monk, this was a kind of parisha. This we call it as affliction, okay. So affliction is upsarg, one is upsarg and one is parisha. So upsarg is naturally done, calamities and something coming. Parisha is something that the monks undertake on its own to test their strength, okay, to test their spiritual strength, how much they are able to practice discriminative knowledge and all. But that coward was ignorant, so he did out of compassion. So other people should not do such things, okay, because this was an exceptional thing done out of ignorance. So everybody should not do that way, okay. Let them practice, let the monks practice their own, let them check their own spiritual strength, okay. So this should not have been done, but since he was an ignorant, he did it out of compassion. Therefore, he was praised in Pratman Yoga. So in Pratman Yoga, you will read many stories, such stories. So you have to get the correct essence, okay? Because the Ram also did it, so I did it. It's not like that. Ram did it under what context and why he was praised. All these need to be deeply understand to get the right understanding, okay? Third example, Vajrakant. So he thought, he developed a feeling that I will not bow to anybody. Okay.
Sir, I had a question in the previous example.
Uh,
So will the coward get pap or punya by doing this?
because he did out of compassion, so he would get punya. Okay.
Okay.
But
Okay.
if he would have been a Jain, he would get pap.
Okay.
Okay. So if someone knows and then does such things, then he will get pap. He was ignorant, so he did out of compassion. Okay. So
Okay.
his
So
intention.
okay.
Uh,
Okay. So, but then helping a monk is not good then. Like, I'm not able to get the essence of this.
helping because it was severe cold, no? And
Yeah.
the monk has to endure that
Okay.
that kind of afflictions, that's a normal practice with the monk. During summer they go at the top of the mountain and do their meditation. In winters they go near a river, purposely they go near a river and do meditation, and then they check how much they are able to concentrate on their self. So it was an exercise that monk undertook on its own for his own checking. Like you are giving objective exams. Why you are giving objective exams? To check your knowledge, how much you have acquired, how much you have grasped from the reading the scriptures. So similarly, that was a test for monk. Okay. So that coward was ignorant. So he created a hot atmosphere just out of compassion. So that should not be done by others people, That's what the message is. The third story was about King Vajrakanta. Okay. He developed a feeling that I will not bow down to anyone else except the God. Okay. That is our idols. So the the opposite king, the king Sihodar, he told him to bow to him, otherwise I will kill you. So what he did, he wore a ring. In that ring, there was a idol emblem in that. And then he bowed like this. So actually he bowed to the idol that was there in the ring. But the king thought that he has bowed to me, so he let go him. Okay. But putting a idol in a ring is not advisable, right? So that person was appreciated for his intellect. Okay. He find a way out of that. But same should not be practiced by others, because our idols are ideally in a temple, big temple. Okay. So that was about the third story. The fourth story, someone getting a son, he went and prayed to the temple of Lord Mahavir, and he was appreciated. Why? Because he didn't went to Hanumanji, he didn't went to Ganpati, he went to temple of Mahavir. So he was appreciated, right? But seeing this, his appreciation, others also go to the temple and ask for wealth, ask for son. That's not a right practice, right? So in Pratman Yoga, many stories you will find like this, but you should not follow in that sense. Okay, you should know the essence. Why is appreciated? Why this? Okay, so this type of stories are there in Pratman Yoga. So when we read these type of stories, like the story of Parshvanath, he was inflicted afflictions by Kamat. So you should not develop a feeling of hatred to Kamat, because Kamat is also going to get liberated in next birth, right? So we should not develop a feeling of hatred on Kamat just because he is inflicting pain on Parshvanath monk. Okay. So in Pratman Yoga, many stories would be there. So each and every story of our Pratman Yoga fosters passionlessness, not increasing the passions. Okay. That is the methodology of exposition of Pratman Yoga. So you have to understand it in that sense. Okay. Our time is over. So next week we will do this methodology of exposition of Karnan Yoga and the other two Anuyogs, and then we will continue. Okay. निज निधि निज में बताई, यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना सत बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना